Well, happy National Apprenticeship Week, everybody. Welcome and thank you for joining us. My name's Nick New. I'm going to be moderating today, and I'm joined by 5 wonderful folks here who are all going to introduce themselves in a moment. And we're here to talk about building your head office workforce with apprenticeships. So firstly, my name's Nick New. I'm co-founder of Apprentices.work, American Apprenticeships Work, and I'm delighted to be here. We've been working with Miller Electric for some time, and also Doreen, Lund, and the wonderful folks at the Department of Education in Florida. And we've had some great success with apprenticeship programs, and we wanted to share that with you during this National Apprenticeship Week. So firstly, to Charlie, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Charlie Cornish, co-founder of American Apprenticeships Work. And to echo Nick, thank you all very much for being here. We're very excited to be speaking to you on this topic with our partners at Miller Electric and CareerSource.
Fantastic. And Patty, would you mind introducing yourself?
Certainly. My name is Patty Keenan. I am Chief Talent Officer at Miller Electric Company in Jacksonville, Florida. We have about 3,000 employees and have been a family-owned business for 95 years.
Fantastic. And Doreen, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Doreen Lund, and I'm with CareerSource Northeast Florida. CareerSource helps to connect job seekers with employers, and we help training and upskilling employees. And I work specifically with apprenticeship, so I was very excited to work on this program with Miller Electric.
Fantastic. And Kayla, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I am Kayla Franklin, and I work here at Miller Electric. I am a part of this business intelligence apprenticeship, and I have been working as our talent learning and development coordinator.
Fantastic. Welcome. And Paige, last but not least, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I am Paige Hartman. I also work at Miller Electric. I've been here now about a year and a half. I'm part of the operational finance team, and I'm also a fellow apprentice with Kayla.
Magnificent. Well, welcome to you all. Today we're going to have a conversation about how we're applying apprenticeship to these head office roles, because as I'm sure Patty will be able to tell us more about, often when people think of apprenticeships, they think of the great apprenticeship history in the trades. And that's fantastic, and that's something that Miller are very much a part of. But there's also an opportunity to embrace apprenticeship across many new and modern occupations. For example, the business intelligence one that we've done here, and some of the others that we've done with Miller, such as cybersecurity and application developer. There's a really long list of great occupations that we can apply apprenticeships to. And today we're going to talk about how that can work and the experience of moving into those head office type apprenticeships and what we can do with it. So firstly, Patty, perhaps as an introduction, could you share a little background to the head office apprenticeship project at Miller and how we got started and sort of where we are now?
Absolutely. Thank you, Nick. So about 5 years ago, when I first made a career change to come to Miller Electric, I had been an executive coach before this. I didn't know what a chief learning officer did, and that was my new job. So I decided to do a little research, and I found out there was a chief learning officer conference in Boston that year. So I went to this conference just with an open mind, and I met Nick New. And when I heard what his company was doing with bringing kind of a new and a bigger definition of apprenticeships to the US, I was really intrigued, because it's basically, how do we get more people working more quickly, right, without necessarily having to go to college first, or even if they did, have an opportunity for you to learn while you earn. So I thought that was really interesting. And also, because we have such a long, successful history with the IBEW joint apprenticeship in our trades, it made sense to me. It made sense that why couldn't apprenticeship be applied someplace else? So we got started with a pilot. We decided, we looked at our business and said, what is a need that we have, a skill that we need more of that we don't currently have? And it was cybersecurity. So we decided to create, along with Nick and Charlie, a cybersecurity apprentice curriculum. And that's where people like Bill Lauver from the Department of Education, Doreen Lund from CareerSource, we had a lot of people helping us because we had never done anything like this. So we did that for cybersecurity and software development. That was our little pilot, and it went really, really well. So we said, okay, let's think a little bit bigger. And we thought about other skills that we didn't necessarily have internally. And it was really about data analytics and business intelligence. So again, working with this wonderful team, and you see we have two of these apprentices here, Kayla and Paige, who you'll hear from later. And they are about 3/4 of the way through. And again, we created this. I'll say we co-created the curriculum with the people that, that I mentioned before. That's what's so important is you have to look at the needs of your particular business. And then there are people who can help you craft what the curriculum looks like with a lot of structure, with professional coaching, and with checkpoints along the way. It's really remarkable what can be done with these partnerships.
Fantastic. Thank you, Patty. We now, I think we started with 2 apprentices, sorry. And now we have Kayla and Paige and 3 others. There's 5 business intelligence apprentices at Miller Electric at the moment. And we're certainly looking at how we can do more in the future. And we'll talk about that later on. So Doreen, I know you and Charlie initially connected on, I think Charlie was talking to you about grants and apprenticeship grants and so on in Florida, but you've been so wonderfully supportive of this program. Can you share how CareerSource fits in here and how you support employers like Miller Electric?
Sure. So CareerSource Northeast Florida, we're the local workforce board. And basically what that means is we help, like I mentioned, connect job seekers to employers, and we help employers to train their people, and we also assist job seekers find roles. So we do a lot of different things in the world of work. And we were already helping Miller Electric with some of the electrical apprenticeships that the apprentices that they bring in. And so I learned that they were trying to expand that model. And I heard about the business intelligence apprenticeship from Charlie. I was excited about it because we, as a state, we're looking at expanding that earn as you learn model into non-traditional fields. What can we do to utilize a model that's been around for a long time and we know works really well? So in this case, cybersecurity, IT, data analytics, these are roles that basically every business needs and that not everybody can find. So this was a great opportunity to grow their own workforce. So in addition to being personally excited about the program, I was able to help them find another route to get assistance through the state of Florida, CareerSource Florida.
And we appreciate that very much. So we did get a grant from CareerSource that helped pay for the 5 apprentices, the business intelligence apprentices.
Yes, absolutely. And the partnership and support that we've had from everybody has been really fantastic in making this happen. I think Charlie always rolls his eyes when I say this, but I think it takes a village to bring an apprenticeship together. And that's definitely something that we've seen here with the wonderful support that we've had. So Charlie, you have the pleasure of speaking to lots of employers, not just in Florida and Jacksonville, but across the US. What's been your experience of bringing apprenticeships to these sort of head office jobs?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the number one takeaway has been the educational aspect. Really helping organizations, as we've heard already today, the common theme that apprenticeships can be used for more than just the trades, and that they go beyond the trades. And a lot of organizations aren't necessarily aware of this kind of paradigm shift in workforce development, where we can be using this tool for office jobs that we're discussing today. And what do we mean by office jobs? Things like roles like HR, finance, marketing, and operations. And the program we're talking about, business intelligence, covers all of those. So it's an even broader way to apply this age-old way of training into the front office for 21st century skills. And so what we do as an organization is we act as an intermediary to take on the training to get those skills trained on the job while the apprentices are learning to the standards of the state. And so it's to an actual occupation. So we like to think of ourselves as a plug and play L&D kind of HR across the board organization to do the heavy lifting for apprenticeships, which can be really, really, really challenging. And quite often we find when organizations are navigating apprenticeships or coming to us and asking us how does it work, there's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of technicalities, and frankly, a lot of organizations aren't necessarily equipped or up to speed in what's going on with federal standards, state standards. And so we help navigate that and understand it. And as Patty and Doreen were speaking about it before, bring it in to make it a really easy lift for organizations. And as organizations adopt this, I think they see that not only is it a great workforce tool and most importantly upskilling apprentices, but it solves a lot of other organizational challenges within the company and brings a lot of other tools for them to use to grow.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So Kayla and Paige, it's lovely to have apprentices here on the call with us. And as Patty said, you're about 3/4 of the way through. So how would you describe the apprenticeship that you're on to someone outside of Miller?
So I'll start that off because Kayla will go a little bit more into the learning aspect of the apprenticeship. But what I want to go over is a little bit of the support side. So as an apprentice, I'm given multiple levels of support, internal and external. We're given a mentor who's an internal employee here at Miller, who I can connect with in the office, kind of on a daily basis, a little bit more easy to talk to and get with. And they're just there to provide support, whether that be technical training, any of the business skills training questions that we have, just being that internal support at Miller. And then we also have the external support, such as Nick and Charlie, who are there to kind of guide us along the way, more administrative things or any questions that we have about the apprenticeship, whether that be for competencies that we're learning or any of the trainings that we're going through or projects we're working on. And then we also have a business skills coach who is someone outside of Miller as well that we meet with on a weekly basis to kind of talk about the business skills that we're learning, any questions or any feedback or advice that we want to seek out from them. And we also have a technical coach who we meet with, who is there to answer any questions that we have on the more technical side, the data analytics side, Python, SQL, Tableau, whatever we're going through. So there's a lot of support given to us along the way in different areas, and it's just been a really great opportunity and just a support system.
Yeah. And to follow up on that, Paige and I actually, we talked this morning and we both came up with support being one of the big things that we really wanted to highlight, because we receive support from, it feels like every corner. We're getting support from our direct line managers, but also we are getting support from Nick and Charlie, from the coaches that they have on their team. But then also we're actually able to apply everything that we're learning directly to our job. So I think that has been one of the most important and interesting things that I like to talk about whenever I talk about this apprenticeship with people, is everything that I'm learning, I actually apply it directly to my job. So it doesn't feel like I'm learning something pointlessly. It doesn't feel like I'm just having knowledge to gain knowledge. It feels like I'm actually learning something that's going to provide value to Miller, but also provide value to myself in a career development aspect.
Fantastic. We're very proud to be part of your journey and to support you on your journey. And you're right, there is a big support network dedicated to your success. And that's really what we see our role in this as being. So thank you for sharing that. Patty, today we're sort of trying to steer our conversation towards head office apprenticeships. And I know we kind of have outlined what that is in a way, but what do you think the opportunity is for Miller or other employers with this approach from an executive leadership point of view, where you're thinking about the organization?
So our opportunity going forward?
Not just for Miller, but in terms of your this approach in the toolkit for you as a chief talent officer or you know, thinking about the organization. What do you think the opportunity is for you, you know, in the round, and as for other employers as well, if you were to, you know, explain this to your peers?
Okay, so I think the biggest thing is that it really amplifies the resources that I have already in terms of learning and development. You heard Paige and Kayla both talk about, you know, they had an internal mentor. Like, at no time is the boss or the manager separate from this, right? So it's really, it's a very collaborative process, and yet, and having been an executive coach in my previous life, like, I know the value of regular coaching, and that's something that comes with Nick and Charlie's program and AAW's program, that throughout the whole, in our case, it was a 1-year apprenticeship. It is a 1-year apprenticeship for business intelligence. And we're able to take somebody who has, you know, virtually no skills in the topic of, say, data analytics, for example, and and at the right pace. There's a lot of the science of adult learning behind what Nick and Charlie bring. So there's the 70-20-10 model of adults learn best 70% sort of on the job. That is woven directly into the whole apprenticeship. So when I watched it happen the first time with the cybersecurity and the software development, I was a little skeptical. I thought, well, can we really turn out a cybersecurity apprentice from somebody who doesn't know anything about it in a year? And I watched it unfold, and in a way that was very accessible to the person and at the right pace, right? And with a lot of personal attention. So one of our software development apprentice, his wife had a baby during the course of his apprenticeship, but his other people around our company, as well as Nick and Charlie, rallied around him, helped him get back on track, right? So I love that it's a registered apprenticeship, because it's not like just a training program, right? A training program people can dip in and out of, right? They're getting a registered apprenticeship certificate at the end. They have to meet certain milestones. And if they start to fall behind in any of them, we build them back up. So what I personally love about it is the structure, the support, the science behind the learning aspect of it, the regular coaching, the sort of constant. I know that Kayla and Paige said they felt supported. I also felt supported as an executive at Miller. I felt very supported. And every time they would come to visit us and do they would do quarterly check-ins, I had to fight off other executives who not really, I let them come, but they wanted to come see, because there's such great energy around watching go so quickly. And as you see Paige and Kayla sitting here, I mean, their public speaking skills have gotten better. Their overall confidence in themselves as business people has improved. So it's really, I mean, I know I'm almost gushing at this point, but it's absolutely remarkable to see. Now you have to get the right people, right? We handpicked them. And I think we will continue to do that in the future. We will handpick our apprentices, because these are people who are willing to do the work, right? And I feel like so we plan on having probably 35 apprentices and office apprentices next year. We want to make sure that we pick them well. And once that happens, I think we're going to have more and more people who want to become an apprentice, and because they'll see the results.
Fantastic. Well, that's very nice of you to say such positive things. But I think from a business point of view, we look at this as not just an opportunity to develop technical skills and talent, but also, as you say, the whole person, because I think that has a big impact on the organization, right? And would you say that the halo effect of this business intelligence program is something that you are seeing the impact of in your organization?
Absolutely. So we had, prior to starting our business intelligence apprenticeship, we had one person here, her name is Julianne, who had data analytics skills from having gone to 4 years of college and then a master's year specifically in business analytics. So Julianne has served as a mentor, and we even call her like a journey worker in apprenticeship language. And I've watched her blossom, right? So when you watch other people grow, it's that rising tide raises all ships, we've seen that happen here. We've seen, because Paige and her colleague Brandon are in our operational finance group, we're starting to see data that we've already had for 95 years in our company presented in such a way that our executives can make better decisions about it. So, and it's all in the course of their regular work. We're starting to see more pie charts and bar charts and all that actually make sense given 95 years worth of data. And it's really, really been simple, right, Paige, to access all that?
Yeah.
It's been challenging and yet very much worth it.
You guys are getting better every day. That's fantastic, Patty. Thank you. And Doreen, you've been along with us with the journey, and in fact, you came to the launch of this event when these 5 wonderful young people, who were a lot meeker at that time and not sure what they were getting themselves into, stood in a room with about 30 other people. And we all said, well, welcome to this program, here we go. And then you also had the joy of joining us, I think, at about the 6-month mark, where they were presenting what they're doing. I mean, you've seen many programs and you've seen what Miller's been doing here. What's been your key takeaway? How would you describe it if, another employer said to you, hey, Doreen, what's going on over there? What do you think it is?
I think the central theme is, for me at least, that Miller has this as their core value of their organization, that apprenticeship and the earn as you learn and training their employees and grow from within, all of these things are central to their model. And I think if another organization was interested in this, that has to be something that they find important. And I think that that is, something that makes people stay at your organization. Actually, it makes people want to grow with you, and you feel that they've invested in you. So I think that's my big takeaway from Miller. But I from watching the growth of the apprentices, and even as much effort that Patty and your team has made in the initiation of it. There was a big party, and then there was this event where all the managers came to listen to them present. What did I do with this 95 years worth of material that I now can manipulate this data, tell a story. I understand my role better. I understand what our department does better and how we can use this information in the future. You really did see this dramatic increase in understanding of business skills and confidence from the apprentices. And I just think that what Miller is doing is a wonderful, not only showing their interest in this, but celebrating the success, and it really is like part of the core, part of the values of the organization. That's where I take away from it, actually.
You're right.
Great.
And we like to call ourselves a learning organization, Doreen. Thank you for pointing that out, where everybody gets a chance to learn and grow personally and professionally.
Oh, I did want to mention Charlie had a great quote during that event, and he said, "Potential over credential." And I thought that really stuck with me as well. It's such a great way to look at this.
I agree.
It's fantastic. Well, Paige, I mean, actually, to kind of bring this full circle, when you started this program, I think you shared that you had no real experience of tools like SQL or Tableau or Python, and really would never see those. What could I do with those? So how do you think these tools have helped you in your job going forwards?
Yeah, so like I said before, I work in finance here at Miller. And so every day we're looking at different data reports, different financial reports, anything that we put together that we can talk to project managers about and kind of analyze our company's financials. So being able to learn the skills, especially SQL and Python, I'm able to kind of be an extra asset at Miller and kind of take away that middle step and be able to extract the data that I'm wanting to pull and generate reports on Tableau or any other data visualization tool that we've been learning throughout this apprenticeship. So kind of being that extra asset and being able to learn these things has helped not only our team represent the financials and reports that we want to put together, but also help out other people at Miller. So I think that's just really been the greatest, learning curve of this whole apprenticeship. And really just being able to be that extra person on our team who can generate reports and get what we need rather than having someone else do it. So just being able to really apply what I'm learning and exporting that to project managers, to our C-level executives at Miller. That's kind of been the greatest value taken out of this apprenticeship so far.
Brilliant. Thank you. And Kayla, you shared that this program's represented a real opportunity for you. Would you care to kind of elaborate on that and share that with the group?
Yeah, of course. So it is actually November this month, which means it is Epilepsy Awareness Month. And for everyone on the call, I actually was diagnosed with epilepsy back in 2013. So I am an epilepsy survivor. But when I was in high school out here in Florida, I had quite a few challenges when it came to my medical condition. And it forced the school to actually have a meeting with me and my mom to let me know that traditional school was probably not going to be a path that was an option for me. They put me on home health care. So I started doing homeschooling, and I never really thought that it was going to be an option for me to go to college. I am a lifelong learner, I call myself. So I did not like the idea of not being able to continue to learn. I tried to do little certification classes here and there with just different things to expand my knowledge on different areas, especially within data analytics. And then I came to Miller, and Miller had this amazing opportunity that they presented to me. And when they presented it to me as, hey, Kayla, you're going to be able to learn, be able to earn a certificate, but also you're going to be doing all of these things while you're working. That was something that was like, oh my goodness, like I'm going to get an opportunity to receive a certification, but also I'm learning and applying it to my job directly. But because of all the support that we have, and because of AAW working so closely with Miller to really make this work for Miller, they've been able to be very they've been able to adjust the schedule when things come up. So things have been able to, they've been able to work the program around me, which is something that I've never experienced before. And to be able to grow in my education money could not be put on that. So this opportunity is absolutely huge. And I think that it's a great thing for employers, especially to the new workforce that's coming in, to be able to extend this to people with disabilities, but then also my age of people. I think that it is kind of a habit for us to see new shiny opportunities and jump on those. And I now am seeing Miller putting money into me. They, like Doreen had said, to quote Charlie's, potential over credential. I think that they are actually proving that by providing me the credential because they saw the potential in me. So I think that that's a huge thing for other employers to be able to highlight and have as a tool to build their workforce.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing, Kayla. To kind of change track a little bit and perhaps to build off what these folks have said, Charlie, when you speak to other employers about our programs, what is it, the key features that you think resonate most? Because I think we've heard a lot about, the coaching, the support, the adaptability, but what do you find resonates most? Oh, you're on mute, sir.
Cardinal sin of video conferencing. I apologize, everybody. No, I think one of the main features that stands out immediately is how it fits into the flow of work. And as Patty said before, this is not just another training program. It is driven by a registered set of standards. There's a lot of moving pieces that make it work, a lot of what you've heard about today. But given all that, it's very easy to adopt for an organization, considering the amount of complication involved. And as the apprentices were talking today, they're doing it in the flow of work. They're not taking it home with them. They're not having to take night classes. This is all done on the job, and they're learning those valuable skills. I think the business skills training, as we've heard about firsthand today, and the professional development around that we have with the coaches, I think that's the most impactful and probably one of my favorite parts of the entire program. And of course, the technical skills. Patty, you said this as well. We were able to take someone who had no cybersecurity skills and turn them into a cybersecurity professional. And that's the beauty of apprenticeships and why we're so passionate about this, because we can train those skills on the job and they have a massive impact on the individual and the organization. And lastly, I think as an intermediary, how we make this easy for organizations. We'd like to think we do, and make it work for everybody, and and get people through the program, which is the number one goal.
Great. Patty, you're hearing what these folks are saying. What is it that you love most about this program, and where do you hope to take this? I know we mentioned that we're hoping to do 35 next year, but where do you see the impact of sort of apprenticeships like this being?
So I have to kind of go off script here, and I hope it's okay. One of the things that I was thinking about listening to you and Charlie is this is such an innovation in learning, right? It's therefore it's something that all of our other executives and our managers, they love talking about with their customers, with their suppliers, with our vendor partners out in the community, out with United Way. We do a lot at Miller for the community and with the community. And I love the aspect that this is Florida Department of Education registered. And I think the other ones are also federally registered. Yes. Yeah. So, anybody in the country can take what we've created, what we've learned from each other, and apply it in their own company. And I love that. I love that we're making a bigger impact, sort of one apprentice at a time. And I think that's probably how they felt when the first, electrical trade apprentices were out there, is that it kind of picks up steam over time, right? So apart from that, so I love the innovation of it. I love that there's coaching. I think coaching is so important for people. I think of coaching as a vehicle that sort of brings out the best in someone else, right? Mentoring is often bestowing one's own wisdom. Coaching brings out what that other person already has inside of them. And I love that aspect of sort of building up humanity. They learn by doing. People love that. There's a strong sense of accomplishment in doing it. I love the flexibility and the support we've gotten from American Apprenticeships work with Nick and Charlie. I think so highly of them. I've had several other young people in my life, including my son, talk with them because I think they have such a really cool approach towards the future of work. So it's bigger than just this apprenticeship, and finally, where we're going with this next year is our next biggest need. We, like I said, piloted it. Our next biggest need is really to grow even better Miller Electric project managers internally. So our apprenticeship next year in the office will be a 1-year project management business apprenticeship. And we will co-create that with Nick and Charlie. We'll get all the same support and we'll do it on a much bigger scale. And it doesn't frighten me quite so much because we've tried it on a smaller scale. So it's, I don't expect it to go without a hitch, but I bet it will go really well, considering the support we have.
Great. Well, we are very excited to move forward with you guys on this. And really, we're now at sort of 2:30, and I wanted to kind of just see, we've got a couple of questions here. So I know we've talked a lot about the training. So how does the training work? Who does the training? So Charlie, do you want to take that one to start with?
Yeah, absolutely. So AEW, we pick up all the training, the technical training, the business skills training, the coaching, and it occupies about 20% of the apprentices week. As I mentioned before, they're not taking that home with them, so it stays within their work, and that's what they are learning in the flow of work.
Great. And so, Kayla or Paige, how have you found the training work for you?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing with the apprenticeship, because Charlie mentioned it, is 20% of your work, which is a good chunk, but it's still very doable. Being transparent with your line managers and communicating with them about what you have going on this week, depending on your workload, it can definitely fluctuate. But I think transparency is the number one thing. So, and at least from my experience, Kayla's as well, line managers here have been very, very understanding and willing to help, and kind of creating that extra time for us to work on this because they know how valuable and how powerful this apprenticeship is for us. So it's really just understanding your own workload, understanding what workload is coming this week for the apprenticeship, and kind of making that balance for yourself. But really just being transparent is the best way to get through this apprenticeship.
Great. And Patty, you're a talent and learning professional. You've seen different people do things in different ways. How would you describe how the training works?
So the 20% of the week, one day a week essentially is you're going to school, you're doing it from here. I actually really like that one of the rules of this apprenticeship is that it's not to be done at night, right? So you really need your manager on board, and you need to over time develop your own time and energy management skills. So that one day a week, it could be 2 half days, it could be several hours a day, whatever that is, but it's 1 year period. So, I'm not going to say that it's never challenging to try to get it all in. And I've seen all of our apprentices, go through peaks and valleys with that, but it's for the greater good. And it's for the return that we get. We start seeing a return even a quarter of the way into the program, because they're learning skills they can apply immediately, as Paige said. So that's how I see it working.
Great. Yes, and we do. I know you talked about the science of learning being a part of it. I mean, we use some really good industry-based, video-based learning for a lot of the core curriculum, but we amplify that with practical class-based activities that get you to test and learn what you've done. We then get you to do projects where you take what you've learned in class and apply it to your Miller jobs. So you're using real world, your skills on real world problems and challenges. We get you to play that back and talk to your peers about that and present it back to your peers. And all the while we're doing that, we're trying to give you the business skills in time management, communication, project management, and so on, to enable you to succeed in that challenging environment. So we see it as woven together deliberately in a way to give you the opportunity to shine and learn along the way. So I'm really happy with how the training works and how we work with Miller. It's been fantastic. And I think that answers the other question. Yeah, sure.
Can I touch on that really quick?
Yes.
That was also another thing. I know Kayla kind of mentioned it too, but what I think is very, very beneficial and what comes with the strategic planning of this apprenticeship is that you guys implement projects that go directly for our everyday work at Miller. So it's very applicable to what we're doing. We're doing projects not necessarily for when you go through normal school, you do projects for classes, but the projects we're working on actually benefit Miller, internally. We're doing things like I'm doing a dashboard for the finance team. Kayla's doing a dashboard for the learning team. So the projects that we're working on actually apply to what we're doing. And I think that's kind of where it shows the investment, not only in the people, but in the program.
Absolutely. Yes. That's something that we work very closely with our partners at Miller with. And I think, I think we've got a couple of questions. Is there any funding available to support this kind of initiative? Doreen, you're probably more expert in the funding in the Jacksonville, Florida area. Can you share anything here?
Sure. So CareerSource Northeast Florida, we have some funding that is applicable to basically upskilling your employees, or if you take on new employees and you're planning to train them, we might be able to assist you with that with some funding. There's also a few grants through the state of Florida. I believe they're having a webinar coming up soon to describe more. That's CareerSource Florida. Plus, the state has money set aside specifically for apprenticeships. And that's through the Department of Education and Apprenticeship Florida. And then the Department of Labor sometimes even has funding for apprenticeships. So there is a lot of encouragement for organizations to use apprenticeship or earn as you learn and upskilling employees or training our community.
Fantastic. And Charlie, we've also got a couple of other, I think they're linked to federal funds, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with the Department of Labor, keep our finger on the pulse to find out when there's funding coming out and work to get that. And we also partner with trade bodies like CompTIA, if you've never heard of them. They're the trade body for IT organizations, and they also get federal grants. And so by partnering with them, we're able to tap into that and supplement programs where we can.
Fantastic. And Patty, as an employer, you kind of oversee the investment in this. And without going into specific costs, obviously you've been supported with some grant funds, but as an employer, you find this sort of is a very good benefit cost relationship. You're seeing as something that's really valuable.
Yes. So the grants, I mean, the whole world of grants was completely new to me. And Nick and Charlie really helped us navigate that, along with Doreen and the Department of Education. So please don't let that, for any future employers doing this, don't be afraid of that. And, so the grants absolutely help. And even without the grants, I believe that the return is there. After watching 7 apprentices go through it, what is that old line that, what if we invest in people and they leave? And the other problem is, or the answer is, what if we don't invest in them and they stay, right? So we know for sure we have 7, very loyal, very grateful, for the opportunity, people that are even better at their jobs now and are like I said before, raising all boats, getting other people better and amplifying the rest of our talent. So to me, the cost benefit is absolutely there.
Can I
Brilliant.
mention brief?
Please, yes.
we do want to ensure that organizations are dedicated to that training model and want to make that investment like Miller has, and not just come for the funding. So we can't always guarantee that. It's not going to be every year. So I just want to put that out there so that that's not guaranteed funds. That's just extra funds.
Absolutely, absolutely. I guess last question. So what do AAW do for you, Miller? So Patty, what do you think we do for you?
So I was joking with somebody recently. I think AAW does everything for us that I'm not good at. Okay. So the like putting some structure. Listen, I love people, I love learning, I love amplifying talent, and I'm also not a curriculum designer, and I don't claim to be. So when I saw what Nick and Charlie put together and the partners they use, so it's not just, listen, I've seen a lot of online learning, and there's a lot of bad online learning out there. Okay, this is not that. And not only is it great, applicable online learning, it's also, they have so many sort of checkpoints along the way that it's meaningful, right? And I also love the cohort aspect that they put together. They encourage the 5 of our apprentices to get together to talk about what they've learned, all with a lot of structure, all with a lot of structure, guidance, support along the way. This is not something I have time to do. And as I said, I'm not a curriculum designer. So they've done that for us with a lot of input from us on what we actually needed. So, and they kept it on track the whole time. So that's, that I know they can do that. If they did it for Miller, and we did not always make it easy. If you even have a little more organizational skills, then they'll do it for you. So thank you. You know how much I appreciate you both.
And we're very grateful to partner with you, Patty, and with you, Doreen. And of course, we're really deeply proud of all of the apprentices that we get to support. So Kayla and Paige, thank you both for that. There's another question in the chat. So is this program being sold to other companies other than Miller? If so, what are the hurdles do you see with other companies? Well, firstly, I mean, any employer can adopt an apprenticeship, right? So you can have your own apprenticeship, and you can work with us, or you can work with the Department of Education in Florida to make that happen. And there's also opportunities to speak to employers and come together and say, hey, we'd like to do this together, and we can create groups. So sometimes companies do it on their own, sometimes people do it as a collaborative, and we can help you if you need to navigate that world, and there are folks at the Department of Education to help you navigate that world. So yes, we do sell this to other employers, and we, candidly, everyone has different hurdles, especially if they're very new to apprenticeship. I would say that the first hurdle is just getting one going, getting started, and once you get started, you learn very quickly along the way what works for your organization. And we're there to try and cushion the blow as you go through. So we try and help those hurdles become easier. We've got experience of doing this for a lot of different employers. And as I say, everyone has different things to learn, whether it's, the way the curriculum works, how to coach line managers on managing an apprentice, and all of things like that, through to, making sure that the project work is as relevant and actionable as possible. So we're there to make sure that goes well. Yeah, we look forward to working with anyone on their specifics. If an organization comes to us, we can give them our best advice. And I see Bill's just shared in the chat as well the link to the Career Opportunity Grant, the Department of Education's Pathways Grant, which is fantastic in support of apprenticeship. And I think it's probably worth saying that, Patty, we've just been successful in securing Miller some funding from that for next year. So we're looking forward to working on that with everybody.
Yes. And since we have Bill on the call, I just want to say thank you, Bill, because this would not have moved forward as much as it did without your support. So we really very much appreciate you, and thank you for putting that up there as well. Like you're making it possible for us to really expand the program beyond what we even thought we could do. So thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. Brilliant. Well, that's us at time, and I want to say
there's one more question from Sasha.
Oh, is there? Ooh.
And the link for the CareerSource grant webinar is also at the top. Carol Cullen posted that.
Great.
So yes, Sasha has a question.
Yeah. So
Sasha, yeah, you an apprentice?
yeah, so it looks like Sasha, you're asking about your company LM, and you're working afternoon and nights, and how would you be able to participate in the program? So obviously, we talked about this being done in the flow of work. I'd encourage you to speak to your employer, and we can talk to them as well to see how it could work with your organization. But there's some flexibility with employers on how we can structure this.
Great. And for anyone who wants to be an apprentice, please, visit our website, apprentices.work. We do, when we are recruiting, we will post opportunities there. And also, I think, CareerSource, you have resources for apprentices seeking programs, right?
Yeah, so they can reach out to me. There is a webpage on the CareerSource website that you can fill out the information on yourself and what you're interested in, and that would come to me. We can give you some ideas as to what we've heard is open, and we're actually having a recruitment tomorrow. So if anybody is interested in becoming an apprentice somewhere in Northeast Florida, we have about 10 organizations that are hiring for earn as you learn types of roles, and that will be at our Gateway location. Thanks.
Fantastic. Right. I think I know lots of events going on for National Apprenticeship Week, and thank you very, very much to everybody for joining us. Thank you to our illustrious panel, Patty, Charlie, Paige, Doreen, Kayla, for sharing things today. And thank you all for showing up today and joining us. We will be sharing the recording from this event today. And thank you again. Happy National Apprenticeship Week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Charlie. Thanks, everyone.